and this is Kyle, and we are Crimson Tide. Basically, we talk about just about anything and everything, well, within reason. Things that are so-called classified, well, we might duck and dodge around them a little bit, but don't count on it. Oh, today we are going to be discussing conspiracy theories. And this is going to go all the way to, well, you never know. We might be touching on Area 51. We might be taking a look at John F. Kennedy's assassination. We can take it all the way back, but we're just going to see where the conversation goes from here. So again, welcome to Crimson Tide. We're going to start the ball rolling. Good old Kyle has got a wealth of information, and I'm just going to sit here and look exceptionally stupid. Take it away, Kyle.
Well, before we start talking about conspiracy theories, I think it's important to define what an actual conspiracy theory is, since there seems to be so many fake fake definitions out there for it. For example, I've noticed that the media and a lot of TV personalities use that term in conjunction with neurolinguistic programming to discredit a person instead of discussing a topic that would actually be considered a conspiracy theory. Because today, in today's climate, the term conspiracy theorist is often thrown around in the same fashion that words like crazy and cuckoo are, and especially in the media.
Okay.
And so I think it's important to discuss what actually is a conspiracy theory and what is not. For example, if a person questions the official story on a particular news related topic, doesn't automatically mean it's a conspiracy theory. I actually think that it's important to question things, because if you're taking someone's absolute word on everything, you're not informed. You're basically just listening to opinion instead of fact.
Right.
And I'm the kind of person that I like to question things. If something doesn't sound right to me, I'll say that, and I'll do some research on my own and decide if I believe what the official story is or not.
That sounds fair. So now the question is, what is the definition of a conspiracy theory?
Well, I don't know the official definition, but my summarized definition is basically a conspiracy theory would be a theory that cannot be directly proven to be true or false. Maybe, like, we all know what a conspiracy is, you know. So, in most cases, it's something that the government's doing or not doing, or it refers to maybe secret societies and things of that nature, like things that sound out there because they cannot be directly proven to be true or false in most cases.
Okay.
Like the Kennedy assassination is a good example of that, because some people say, oh, the magic bullet. Some people think that the FBI took him out. Some people think one of his own Secret Servicemen took him out. I mean, there's so many theories bouncing around about that one. And it's actually interesting. If you watch the footage closely, you'll notice that the bullet that hits him seems to be coming from in front of him, not
That's
behind,
correct.
not next to him, but in front of him. And when I was looking into it, I came across information that I couldn't exactly prove it, but what I came across from one of my sources is that potentially one of the Secret Servicemen took him out, and that it might not have been on purpose.
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
like the the Secret Serviceman was in front of him and fired a bullet. Bullet hits him, and you know, because the reason there's so much surrounding John F. Kennedy. Did you hear the speech he gave right before his assassination when he was
Well,
talking about?
not in person.
Well, that's not what I was. What I meant was, did you ever look it up on YouTube and listen to it?
I believe that I have seen that before. Yes.
Well, he was talking, for those who haven't heard it, he was basically talking about secret societies and secret secret organizations that were infiltrating certain points of the government and using the military and various government apparatuses in a very negative way, which in and of itself, a lot of people would have been considering it a conspiracy theory if it hadn't came the president directly. And also, before he died, he was making certain strides to get rid of the Federal Reserve, which, if anybody is familiar with the Federal Reserve, it's not federal at all. It's a central bank that's actually owned by the UK, by high high up, very rich families that are in the UK and other British areas.
Okay.
And John F. Kennedy was trying to basically reinstate the gold standard and get rid of the Federal Reserve and put the power of printing our money back into the hands of the Treasury where it used to be.
Okay.
And that, I believe, was the real reason he was killed.
Okay. And that is interesting. And yeah, I mean, that's what I would call the meat and potatoes about the entire process that led up to the assassination of John Kennedy. And I think that, as we look back on that, and like I said, I mean, oh, good grief, I can't remember the exact year. I don't think I was even born at that point in time. I believe my sister was, but I remember hearing about it secondhand.
Yeah, it happened in '63.
Yep, that would be 3 years before I was hatched. But
Oh,
yeah, and so yeah, again, are there answers out there in regards to the Kennedy assassination? As a matter of fact, I am 99% positive that they know, at least the government at their level knows exactly what happened. I'm sure that it has all been documented. It's all been written down at a federal level, but that's access that information is not something that we can readily access.
well, I would like to clarify something I said so the audience doesn't get confused. They
Okay.
might they might think that I was under the assumption that he was killed by his own Secret Serviceman accidentally. I did come across a theory about that, but I personally believe that the government had him killed.
And that would make sense because, I mean, so far everything points to that. It really does. And there's nothing out there that has been able to disprove that.
Yeah, and there's even been information that came out that I forget. Do you remember who the vice president was? Was it Eisenhower?
No. Kennedy, maybe it was. History is not my forte. If my wife was down here, she would be able to tell us right now off the top of her head, but it's like, yeah, no no clue.
I want to say it was Eisenhower.
That could very well be.
I'm I'm actually going to take a brief moment here, guys, and look this up. Forgive me. I need to know. This is
Well,
important. See.
there's no forgiveness needed because I mean that's what we're all about. And sure, we can just sit there and we can shoot the breeze and BS around, but at the same time, we need to be able to document. We need to be able to back up what we say. And if we
Okay.
don't, then it's just blah blah blah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I was confused. It wasn't Eisenhower. Eisenhower was further back. It was Lyndon Johnson was his.
Ah,
I get Eisenhower confused because he's part of another conspiracy theory. Um, I often get him and Johnson confused because I find they kind of look alike. But anyways, yeah. So there's information came to light that Lyndon Johnson may have been involved in getting John F. Kennedy assassinated, so that he could get the presidency and basically undo the things that John F. Kennedy was trying to do.
okay. And and again,
And here's
the
something else that's interesting. Did you
yeah.
know that Donald Trump was friends with John F. Kennedy?
It doesn't surprise me because Donald Trump was friends with everybody, or so he thought.
Yeah, I just find it interesting that he actually knew the guy,
Yeah, that kind of makes you wonder a little bit.
Well, here's a juicy topic for you. Do you believe the government is secretly run by aliens, yes or no?
Ah, my goodness. Let me put it this way. I have not seen any proof to claim either yes or no. How's that?
Fair enough, but do you believe that aliens are out there?
Oh, I definitely believe that. You bet. It'd be stupid for anyone to think that we are the smartest creatures in the universe.
Oh, if
Yeah.
we're the smartest creatures in the universe, then the universe is in trouble.
Oh, you think? Yeah, as I drool on my bib and stare off into space. But yes, I mean, yeah, there is, is this what you would call a conspiracy theory? Well, maybe. Do aliens exist? Well, why wouldn't they?
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot involved in that too. Like for example, do you believe that space, as we think it exists at all? Because you have people that think the Earth is flat, right?
Oh,
Then you
sure.
and you have people that think that the Earth isn't flat, but is a stationary plane with a firmament, and that we cannot go past the firmament,
Okay.
and that aliens are beings from beyond the firmament.
Hmm. That is interesting. That is something I have not thought of.
And, whether you believe, I don't believe the Earth is flat. I don't. Obviously, I mean, it'd be kind of crazy for me to think that. But
Right.
the whole firmament idea is interesting because there's there's not proof that it exists, but there's more proof to suggest that it's real than there is than a lot of people would like to admit. You know, for example, why is Antarctica illegal for us to go to? Why
Hmm.
why is Antarctica the only continent that every country in the entire world agrees that nobody can go there? Why is that?
Because of aliens?
Or maybe there's something there that they don't want us to know about.
Oh, that is a definite possibility.
I forget what his name was. You could look it up if you like. But there was an old interview. It's black and white, and this pilot who flew around the world, he said that beyond the continents that we know of were other land masses that were untouched by man.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Kind of makes you wonder, was it true or was it false?
Well, the question is it both the North Pole and, I mean, yeah, the North Pole, South Pole, Antarctica. Is it both of the polar regions, or is it just one and not the other?
You mean in terms of it being illegal to go there?
Yes.
As far as I know, it's Antarctica only,
Hmm. Okay.
which is
That's
interesting, is it not? Especially when you believe it or not, this does connect. There was there's information to suggest that there was a secret Reich of the German party, and that they actually found something in Antarctica. They
okay.
they I forget what it was called in German, but it translates to New Greenland or something like that. And
Okay.
it's from what I've been able to uncover about it. Like I said, I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying it's interesting that there's people out there that say it's true. Apparently, they found um, a area in Antarctica that was lush and green, that basically was an entrance to the hollow earth. Because I'm actually a believer in the hollow earth theory.
Okay.
Because to me, it's a lot more plausible than anything about the earth being flat or a plane with a firmament.
Then
Would you like me
that's
to
true.
explain the hollow earth theory?
Hollow Earth theory.
You never seen it?
Hmm.
Is this the first you've heard of it?
Well, I've watched a lot of movies, but that doesn't tell me an awful lot about the theory itself.
Well, basically, for all of those listening and for you, Jim, basically the hollow earth theory is that states that there's various pockets under the ground of where ecosystems thrive, and a lot of these ecosystems are said to have animals and plant life that hasn't existed up here for quite some time.
Okay.
And like for example, um, one that's said to exist lives in a constant state of dusk, where it's dusk all the time,
Okay.
and it's warmer there. It's like a steady 80 to 85 degrees. Perfect
Okay.
life to thrive. And the reason I believe that the earth could be hollow in places is because they're still finding things out about the earth that go against what we learned in the textbooks. Like, I actually pay attention to what we call fringe science, which is basically just scientists that research theories that are considered blasphemous in the eyes of most scientific organizations. But what's
Okay.
but what's funny about this is that these types of scientists have made discoveries that would blow the lid off of a lot of what we know if they were given the proper light. For example, one scientist was able to prove that we're surrounded by entities that we cannot see.
Okay.
And how he was able to spot those entities, he took a microscope, and instead of using a convex lens, he used a concave lens. No, no, no. A convex lens instead of a concave lens. Because
Okay.
most um, most microscopes we use for scientific and astrological things they all have concave lenses.
Okay.
He's using a convex lens, and he was able to spot these entities, and he calls them near Earth entities, or NEOs. You know,
Okay.
NE. That's not NEO, but I forget what he I forget what he calls it, but I'm pretty sure it's near Earth entities. And
Okay.
that's just one thing that fringe science discovered. And then there's another scientist who believes that there's another ocean under the mantle. But if you go down far enough, there's another ocean beneath our feet.
Right. And
So
that's kind of interesting, but the thing is that we have to be able to get the technology or develop the technology to discover these things, to actually know and, shall we say, prove the theory, or, once again, you know,
well,
uh, how are we going to do that?
in some cases, the technology does exist and is classified, and in other cases, we're made to believe that the technology doesn't exist. For example, with the moon landing, they say, "Oh, we had the technology to go to the moon, but now we don't."
Okay.
And to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense because we've advanced so far since then, you know?
Right.
So how does it make sense that we once had the technology to go to the moon and now we do not?
But yet we just launched a rocket here a couple of weeks ago, and that rocket has flown very, very close to the moon surface, took a lot of extremely detailed pictures, not only of the light side of the moon, but also the dark side of the moon. And using different kinds of camera technology, new video technology, they have been able to actually show what a large part of the dark side of the moon actually looks like. Of course, that's not quite released to the general public at this point in time, but those images do exist, and they will hopefully be released whenever NASA or the government, whoever decides to release them.
I just hope we don't lose the audience with some of these theories because, like, I know some of them are kind of out there, and when I say there's information that suggests, that's just my way of saying I've done research on a topic and I've found information about it, but I was not able to fact check the information to my satisfaction. Because here's the thing that I want our audience to understand about me. I I have an open mind. I believe that just about anything is possible. However, that doesn't mean I believe everything is possible.
Right.
If if I'm interested in a topic, like say the moon landing, right? I will do however much research I can possibly do on that topic. And I will go through the official story, I will go through non-official stories, I'll watch documentaries, I'll comb through declassified documents, whatever it takes. And wherever the information takes me is where my belief will end.
Right.
And when it comes to the moon landing, there is a lot of information I've come across that I couldn't prove or disprove. However, some of it sounds plausible enough to where I could believe it's possible that it's true.
Sure.
Allow me to make an example. I think that it's plausible that the moon landing never happened.
Okay.
And the best I can give you to prove it with circumstantial evidence would be, well, where's the telemetry data? Oh, it's
Yeah.
gone. Not only that, but you have Buzz Aldrin saying they never went to the moon. You can find You can find countless clips online of him saying that. Oh, we didn't
Okay.
go to the moon.
Well, then where'd you go?
Well, my belief is that they never made it past the Van Allen belt.
Okay.
The Van Allen belt, for those who don't know, it's a blanket of radiation that is a few miles above our atmosphere,
Okay.
and it's shortened out. It shorts out a lot of electrical equipment
Okay. So why would they lie to the general public about that then?
because at the time we had other countries that were racing to go to the moon first. We had Russia trying to go to the moon. You know, they wanted to win the Cold War. And how else to win the Cold War than to lie about it?
Right. Right. That's true. And here's the interesting thing. For me, I look back on it and I know Kyle is just going to kind of shake his head and go, really? But I actually remember when I was a very, very, very little boy being invited downstairs by my parents to come and sit in the living room and watch on a black and white TV as man landed on the moon for the first time ever. And that is, once again, did it happen? Didn't it happen? Well, you tell me, and not you necessarily, Kyle, but everybody. Tell me, did it happen or not? I watched it on TV. Does that mean it's real? Well, no. But I am just saying that I remember as a little kid going downstairs in my little one piece jammies. No, I did not have bunny rabbit ears and a fluffy tail, but I went downstairs in my little cool jammies with my sister, and we sat in the living room and we watched on a black and white TV a man walk on the moon, or what we were told to believe was man walking on the moon. Did it happen? I don't know. I was like 3, so.
Well, I mean, just a few episodes ago, we were talking about propaganda and how the government used Operation Mockingbird to disseminate propaganda through the media outlets. Well, convincing the world that we went to the moon when we didn't, is that not propaganda?
Oh, most certainly.
And honestly, the main reason I'm in the camp of they never went to the moon mainly is because of the telemetry data that's missing, that's conveniently gone from their trip. And when I say gone, I mean it's gone, like destroyed, gone. You will not find it. There is no telemetry data, period, to be found for that day, period. It is gone, never to be found, never to be recovered, never, never, ever, ever.
Right. And you have to ask yourself, why? How? Why didn't they ever back up any of that information?
And I believe that they destroyed it on purpose because
Okay.
because here's the thing. At that time, there was a lot of things that scientists didn't know about space. And the Van Allen radiation belt, you know, radiation shorts out electronics all the time. I mean, look at what happens during a powerful enough solar flare. A
Yep.
strong enough solar flare can cause power outages on Earth.
Right.
It can cause satellites to fall from the sky.
Exactly.
I believe the government was so desperate to win the space race that they lied to accomplish it.
Yeah, that is a definite possibility.
And honestly, my evidence is circumstantial, but it's the type it's let me correct myself. It's circumstantial in a way that it like if this was a court case, we would say that there's reasonable doubt.
Right.
There's enough reasonable doubt that it didn't happen for the ruling to not be able to be made one way or the other fully 100%.
Right.
Especially when they can eat when they practice spacewalks in swimming pools and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you know, NASA has a there's an organization, well, not an organization, a department in NASA that doctors space photos using computer imagery.
Sure.
So, you know, that's why that's a big reason why a lot of flat earthers say uh that the globe Earth is a lie, because all the images that are given to us from space are CGI. Now, they're not all CGI, but they are doctored to make them look as beautiful as they do.
Sure.
But as stated, I don't believe the Earth is flat. Now, the firmament idea, I'm kind of on the fence about that
Okay.
because one of the main um, things about the firmament theory is that parts of Antarctica is where the dome comes down, and that's why they flagged it off, because they don't want us to see the dome. But then there's people that say, well, the reason we never went to space is because they went high up and hit the firmament and weren't able to go any higher than that.
Okay.
Now, like I said, I'm on the fence about the firmament because, you know, there could be something similar to the firmament out there. Like maybe the radiation, maybe the Van Allen belt is similar to the firmament, where we can't go past it without special equipment, you
Right.
know? But I don't personally believe 100% that there's a firmament. And I don't believe the earth is flat. But what I do believe is hollow earth. I believe that the earth is a globe and that underneath our feet there's pockets of civilizations and ecosystems that we haven't discovered yet.
That'll be fun to look forward to. That's for sure.
Did you hear about that object that hit the moon in March?
I did not.
Yeah, there was a big object that hit the moon in March, and nobody can say what it was. The government went and asked Elon Musk if it was one of their rockets. It wasn't. NASA says it wasn't anything of theirs. It wasn't an asteroid either. Some mysterious object hit the moon, and to this day, nobody knows what it was.
Well, here's a question for you, and this could make you maybe scratch your head a little bit. Not that long ago, there was a rocket that was launched out into space, and it changed the trajectory, I believe, of a comet or a meteorite or whatever it was, but it changed the directory of that just by one simple little impact, millions of miles away, but they were able to change the directory of that comet. Now, the question is, the moon has now had impact from something that nobody really understands what the heck it was. And I'm going, okay, now we've got something from outer space that has collided with the moon. Now, what is that going to do with the orbit of the moon? What is that going to do with the moon's trajectory? Where is that going to go? Is that going to affect something? If it is, what? If not, what? And so I'm thinking about that, going, okay, that could be a bit concerning. What is that going to do to seasons? What is that going to do to gravitational pull? What is that going to do to climates? Things along that line. Tides. There you go. What is that collision going to do? And do we know what is happening with that? Has somebody actually investigated it? Where's that element of concern? Does it exist or doesn't it?
Well, let me go from the world of conspiracy theory to the world of conspiracy fact for a brief second here.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Apophis?
No,
Also, also pronounced Apophis.
I have heard that.
What do you know about it?
Not an awful lot. Apophis is like an apostas. An apostasy. Does that sound right? I am really showing my cluelessness today, and that's okay.
Well, no, you're not clueless, man. It's just there, there's not a lot to talk about it. That's why. Not,
Okay,
I mean, I would be a rich man if I had $1 for every time I brought up Apophis and people didn't know what I was talking about.
right,
It's it doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're clueless. It's just it's a topic that not a lot of people are talking about right now. So basically, I'm gonna tell you what Apophis is. There was an asteroid that was discovered by NASA in 2003 or 2004. It's classified as an NEO, a near Earth object. And this is an asteroid. I believe it's roughly the size of Manhattan.
okay,
It's a big boy. And uh, um, on April 13th, 2029, it's supposed to pass so close to us that it'll knock satellites out of orbit.
ooh, okay,
And there's a keyhole, so to speak, a 300-mile in diameter keyhole above the Earth, where if Apophis threads that keyhole, it's gonna swing back around 10 years later and hit us.
okay. That's fabulous.
And a lot of people are saying that for an asteroid to get that close to us, it's gonna hit us.
Right.
That the Earth's gravity is gonna pull it in.
Okay.
And the reason I'm bringing that up, it's because, you know, that just goes to show you how little we know about space,
Right.
and why is NASA not talking about Apophis?
Either because they don't know or because they're afraid that they could actually initiate panic.
Right. But if there's a gigantic asteroid headed our way, don't you think the public should know about it?
Well, maybe, but at the same time, what can the public do about it?
True.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking because there's a lot of times where I will intentionally avoid watching like news broadcasts and things along that line because it's like, oh look, Russia and the Ukraine are going at it, and Putin is losing his mind, and all this other stuff is going on, and he's got his finger poised on the red launch button, and all this other stuff. And it gets to that point where it's like, you know what? If I sit here and if I focus on this stuff or I think about it, all it's going to do is it's going to mess with my mind day in and day out. And I will not be able to shut it off because it's something that I really don't have any control over. And there's nothing that I can do that's going to change Putin's mind on pushing the big red button.
Well, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did I do an okay job at clarifying that I don't necessarily believe in some of these things? Because I don't want to sound like a kook, like some guy that doesn't know what he's talking about.
No,
Like,
I think that you've done fine.
I like to bring up certain topics because I find them interesting, you know?
Sure.
Like even some of these conspiracies that cannot be proven or disproven. Like I find it interesting. Like Area 51, for example, there's so many theories about what's there.
Right.
And it's like, how can you not find that interesting? Like
Oh,
like
I
everyone
find it
knows
very
that it's
interesting.
an Area 51, but nobody knows what's actually there.
And the fun thing is that even U.S. military, I actually have a friend that was stationed not far from Area 51. And the thing that was really interesting is that even if he was in the military, he still had absolutely no idea what was going on there. And there, I mean, he couldn't even get within, what was it, like 15 miles,
Yeah.
you know, from Area 51. He couldn't even get within that area because there were armed vehicles and they were ready to take out anybody that got close. And so it's like, wow, okay. So if there's absolutely nothing there, if there's, this is all a great big, smoke and mirrors type of thing and blah, 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 why is this place so extremely heavily guarded, monitored 24/7? Why do they have, all of these folks that are employed and are working there who don't even have outside families because they can't even leave the base? I mean, because of the security breach. Nope, it's not going to happen.
Allow me to put on my tinfoil hat and offer an explanation.
I like it when you put on your tinfoil hat. It's very, very cool.
And this is actually something I believe. So
Okay,
I'm putting myself out there.
here it
So
comes.
I'm either gonna be ridiculed by by whoever listens to this, or they're gonna admire that I was brave enough to say it.
I am living on the edge.
This is what I think is going on in Area 51.
Okay,
I believe that it is a secret base where they test out secret government military equipment, secret planes and jets and things. Like, I believe that a lot of the UFOs that people report seeing are actually secret military aircraft that they're testing out. And I
okay.
and I believe that the reason it's so secretive is because a lot of their aircraft is reverse engineered from extraterrestrial technology.
That is a definite possibility. Again, nobody's out there that'll discredit that. No one's out there to disprove that theory.
Like, I believe that the government is uh, testing out anti-gravity uh, aircraft.
Well,
Like,
sure.
and I also believe that CERN ties into this because at the Hadron Collider in Switzerland, they've discovered that they can create miniature black holes, and
Okay,
that would be a great power source if you could harness it.
right. But all these things, that are happening in Area 51, again, it is extremely, it is extremely secure. It is, it has basically, it has a critical confidential status. And so there is no way, even the world's greatest hackers, and they've tried, the world's greatest hackers have tried to infiltrate. They have tried to break through the firewalls and everything else, trying to figure out what the information is in Area 51. And they have every one of them, at least to our knowledge, has failed.
I believe that a lot of the information that's there is not hackable, meaning it's analog, like papers and cassette tapes and things that you can't hack.
Sure, that makes sense. If it does not have a digital vapor trail, guess what? You can't follow it.
Let me ask you this, Jim.
Huh?
What is your stance on Roswell, the crash in Roswell in 1951?
I think that's about the right time frame.
I mean, it was the 1950s. I just don't remember what year it was. But what is your what is your stance on Roswell? Do you think it was a real extraterrestrial crash? Do you buy the official story that it was a crashed weather balloon?
No, I believe it was an actual crash. And I believe that a lot of the technology that they discovered on that. At the crash site, a lot of the technology that they discovered and they've been able to study because of that has actually allowed us to advance to the point where we are at now. So I mean, you look back on the good old days of the original Star Trek, and you got Captain James T. Kirk, and he's got his communicator. It was always so great. You have his communicator, you flip that thing open. It was a goddamn Motorola Razr phone. That technology, I strongly believe, basically came. And if you want to take a look at something interesting, take a look at the time frame. The stuff that you had Roswell, you had all the interesting things that were happening that were all top secret. All of a sudden, Star Trek started getting all this information. And so many years later, guess what? That information, those things became a reality for each and every one of us. That's a huge technology jump that just kind of happened out of pretty close to absolutely nowhere.
There's a phenomenon I call it fictionalization. It's when the government or other entities put elements of truth into our fiction, so
Right.
that we'll believe it to be fake. Like one of my favorite quotes is there's fiction in your truth and truth in your fiction.
Yep.
And I'm not going to get into how I came across the information to suggest what I'm about to say, because that could be a whole show in and of itself, and neither one of us have time to go down that rabbit hole right now.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I believe that there's a breakaway civilization. We're talking, um, military at the very top, top levels of CIA and NSA, and people with security clearances.
Right.
And I believe that they have access to technology that is at least a decade ahead of what we have,
Oh,
if not
most certainly.
more than that.
You bet. I agree with that. It's just, it's interesting to see what has happened in the past and what is happening in the present time. And some people are like, well, you know what? We can really look forward to the future because it's going to be so extremely cool. Yeah, in a way, but once again, what is going to happen down the road 5, 10, 20 years from now? I mean, we think that the time, that the age that we're living in right now is pretty awesome. Give it another 10, 15, 20 years, and we won't possibly be able to wrap our heads around the different things that we're coming up with.
You
We
know,
have no clue.
Degrassi Tyson said that the first man that will never die is alive today.
Interesting. Kind of scary in a way. Do I want to live forever? I can honestly say no. I
I
don't.
would like to, but I'm going to tell you why.
Okay, I'm
I
curious.
would like to be immortal only because I would use that. I would use it the way it should be used. I would use it to go around the world and try different foods and different cultures, and like I'd go to Africa and learn about the culture there. I'd go to parts of Europe and South America, and you know and walk with the tribes and learn their way of life, and like I would use it to to witness the beauty in the world. I
That
would,
is really cool.
yeah,
But you had, go ahead.
because there's so many things I want to do, and I'm the kind of person that I love to travel. I love to try new things, foods, music, you name it. If it's in front of me and it's new, I'll try it.
You bet.
And honestly, man, I feel like we forget how much beauty there actually is in this world
Well, I agree.
because we
I
get
agree.
so, how's that for a break away from conspiracy theory, huh? Like,
It is kind of a refreshing shift, to be honest. I like that.
yeah, I mean, we get so caught up in the news and conspiracy theories and what's true and what's false and what's this, that, and the other. We forget to go outside and enjoy the freaking sunshine. We
I
forget
agree.
we forget to take our kids to Disney World and see the joy on their faces while they're having fun. We forget to try new foods. We forget that there's other beautiful people and cultures and so much in this world to experience that like we live such closed off lives. We live in this little bubble
Yep.
where we feel like we're in control in our bubble, but nothing gets in or out that we don't want. And
Right.
honestly, man, I'm gonna tell you some God's honest truth
Oh,
that
I
I
like that.
that I truly believe. If Apophis was gonna hit us, I think the public should know. And this is why I think the public should know. Maybe it would teach people to value what's important in life while we have it.
That is a very, very fair statement, unfortunately. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer here at all or Sally Sob story. I look at a lot of people in the world that do not have that inquisitive mind. They do not have that, I want to better myself and I want to explore and I want to have an adventure and this and that. They don't have that mentality. All they can think of is, how am I going to get my next fix? Who do I need to rob in order to make this happen? Oh, look, the end of the world is coming. I think I'm going to wipe out the liquor store. Oh, look, there's a dispensary. Cool. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get high until I die. Well, it's unfortunate, but that is the madness of mankind.
Yeah, now you're touching on human nature there, my friend.
You better believe it. Exactly. But here, before we really flip here again, I want to point this out that is really, really cool. You were talking about what would happen if you were immortal and you'd be able to experience all these cultures and you'd be able to go around and check out all this stuff and really find out, how the rest of the world lives. And I think that's awesome. And the fun thing is that infinity is infinity. It goes on and goes on and goes on. And the cool thing is that this is what I could see. Okay, if this was a possibility for you, I could see you doing this. And that would be, you know what? I'm going to check it out, and you're going to see all the different cultures, and you're going to experience everything in the world, and you're going to be happy with that. And then you're going to discover a million years down the road that, holy crap, I've experienced everything Earth has to offer me. Well, it's time to go somewhere else. That's the Kyle mentality. That's the Kyle mentality that not a lot of people can wrap their head around. But I could see that. And having that kind of a mindset, I find is fascinating. That is excellent. And in all reality, each and every one of us should have that kind of mentality because it causes us to step away from ourselves and experience life to its fullest.
Yeah, and you're actually 100% right. That's exactly what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to say this too. I'm a techie. I love my tech. But if somebody came to me and said, "Hey Kyle, I will fund I will pay for you to see the world. Let's go." Guess what? I'm
You'd be
gone.
gone.
I'm
Yep,
gone.
you'd be gone.
I
I'm still
would
waiting for you to get your butt up to Minnesota, but that ain't happening, is it?
now.
Poke the bear.
All I can say to that is touche.
Indeed. I ain't been down in your neck of the woods either.
Oh, I actually do want to go up there though, because, I know people that frequent North Dakota a
Yep.
lot. And, like, have you heard of the I forget, Fantasy Farm or something? It's a big place that they do for Halloween. Haunted Farm.
Mm.
The Haunted Farm.
I have only heard of about 80 places like that up here.
Well, I know someone that goes up there every year and works there, and they've been trying to get me to go up there. Like, I honestly, man, I'm itching for an adventure, and that's the truth. Like my main reason for saying if I was immortal, I would go see the world. It's because
Yep.
I want to go see the world right now. Like, if I had the means, I wouldn't be here having a conversation with you about it. I'd be out there doing it.
Well, the fun thing is that believe it or not, when I started out my exploration of the world, this is how I started. I started out on a highway with a loaded backpack, a jug of water, and packing it on down the road. And I hitchhiked. The first time in my life I ever hitchhiked, I hitchhiked 180 miles one way to go and meet a gal that I had seen at the beach the summer before. And, didn't have a car, had $14 cash in my back pocket and my thumb outstretched on the highway. And that is how I started out my adventure. But, was it easy? No. Was it a challenge? You bet. Was it an adventure? Oh, yeah. And would I trade it for anything else in the world? Now as I look back on it, I'd have to say, no, I don't think so, because I stepped completely out of my comfort zone and did something absolutely illogical. And when I did that, everything changed. It was good. And I do wish that kind of an adventure on you, Kyle. I really do.
Yeah, the only downer with that is, that was a different time.
Yes.
And now, I mean, I'm a big burly guy, and most people would drive around me if they saw me hitchhiking.
Oh, I could just picture you being like, Paul Bunyan with a great big broad axe on your shoulder with your thumb outstretched saying, "Pick me up, please."
Yeah, pick me up, fella. I'll blow you a point if you pick me up.
Folks, we are getting really, really tight on the old time clock once again this week. But you know what? We'll try. How's this? We'll try next time around to be maybe a little bit more jovial, a little bit more happy go lucky. Just kind of roll with the punches and go with the flow. Uh oh.
And we're gonna have to revisit the conspiracy theory topic, because there's a lot of things I didn't get to say, because honestly, it's a big world of things. I could just keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
Very true.
There's a lot of topics we've discussed here in previous episodes that we're eventually going to revisit, and I would like this topic to be one that we revisit, because
Almost certainly.
there's a lot of interesting stuff out there. But if there's one takeaway, other than the fact that I'm got a mic extended on my headphones that I'm talking into
I've been eyeballing it for the longest time. I'm going, would you
while
put that
talking.
thing back in?
I was talking into a mic while talking into a mic.
That was impressive.
Thank you, Mikeception. Um, if there's a takeaway, I would say this: question. Don't be afraid to question. If you
Agreed.
if you hear something on the news and it doesn't sound right to you, even if a lot of your peers would would vilify you for saying it. There's nothing wrong with questioning things. It's part of critical thinking. If something
Right.
doesn't sound right to you and you want to learn the truth, research it. You might learn something.
I agree with you 100%. And folks, yeah, never be afraid to ask questions. And like I've said before, if you have a boss or supervisor that does not like it when you ask them questions, my advice to you is quit, because you will never be as good of a person as you know you should be if you don't ask questions and if you don't get the answers that you truly need. That's going to wrap her up for this week. I greatly appreciate it once again for everybody tuning in here at Crimson Tide. I am Jim. That is Kyle. And we are very glad you spent this hour with us. You all take care. You have a fantastic week. And we will talk to you next time right here on Crimson Tide.